Hi, my name is Carol and the name of my channel is Broke But Bountifully Blessed. I created my channel to show how I survive by living on Social Security alone. I share my cooking meals for one, money-saving tips, as well as how to grow edible plants inside and out. Today's video was created for a collab called #Struggle Meals that is hosted by a great channel called City Girl Homestead. I will leave a link to her channel in my description. One of my favorite things to have for lunch is a bean burrito. But we were out of salsa, and it was going to be a while before I ordered groceries again. So I decided to make do with what I had in the house. But this is what it would have cost if I had bought the items separately. At Walmart, a can of tomato sauce, this is a 15-ounce can, sells for 96 cents. But I had a can of spaghetti sauce in my cupboard, so I'm going to use that. And I did have a can of these green chilies in the cupboard, but if I had bought them, they only would have been $1.42. So if I would have bought these two items, it would have come to $2.38. But I had several cans of spaghetti sauce from the senior stock box that was piling up in my cupboard. And I had been moving around a little can of green chilies for several months, and it was expired when I got it. But even if I had bought those two items, I would have had a savings of 86 cents. That's worth cooking up some salsa for. I think I'll be making it again myself from now on. And instead of getting this much, I ended up with this much. Not a whole lot more, but every little bit helps. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, I have a can of spaghetti sauce. You could use any kind of tomato sauce. And I found this in the cupboard, a can of green chilies. Well, it tastes a little too sweet, so let's add some things and give it a heat it up a little bit. Add a teaspoon of onion powder, teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Give it a good mix and heat it through. Then let it cool. I already cleaned out the jar of the salsa that I ran out of. So let's just pour it in there. And there we go. So we'll start by, we've got these can of refried beans. Put it in this container. I'll cut it in half. And cut each half in half. So we have 4 servings. First, I'll put a tortilla on a plate. Then we'll add 1/4 of the beans, and I usually cut it in half and arrange it like this and mash it down with my fork. Then I'm going to add some of that homemade salsa. This turned out a little spicy. If you like your salsa a little milder, just use a 1/4 teaspoon of the cayenne pepper. Then I'm going to add a little bit of the cooked rice that I have in the freezer. And I'm going to use this dairy-free cheese, which costs a little more because I'm allergic to milk, but 1 pinch should do it. That's about a tablespoon. And I roll up the sides. Roll it up in the middle. When I make it fresh like this, I'll nuke it for 2 minutes. But if they're frozen, I nuke it for 2 minutes on one side, then flip it over and nuke it another minute on the other side, and they come out just perfect. So 3 of them fit snugly, but they fit into a freezer bag. Then I keep them in the freezer till I'm ready to eat them. So let's take a look at the cost of this. This package of tortillas has 8 tortillas in it and costs $2.12, which means we're paying about 26.5 cents for each tortilla. And since we're going to use 4 tortillas to make 4 servings, for this meal, we're going to be using $1.06 worth of tortillas. This can of beans says that it has 3 servings, but I always cut it into 4, which makes it 25 cents a serving for the refried beans. This 1-pound bag of brown rice has about 2.5 cups of dried rice, which triples in size once it's cooked. So once it's cooked, we're going to have about 7.5 cups of cooked rice. We'll be using about 1/4 cup in each burrito, so a cup for today. And according to this, it should cost us a little bit less than 12 cents for a cup of cooked rice. It's much cheaper to cook your own rice, but if you really can't handle that, they do sell it already cooked in containers like this. If we didn't make our salsa and we used this jar from Walmart, we would have got roughly 2 cups of salsa for $3.24. We're going to use about 1/2 cup of salsa by adding 1/8 of a cup to each burrito, which means for this recipe it'll cost about 81 cents worth of salsa, and we'll have enough for 4 more meals, or just a little bit more than 20 cents for each burrito. Next, we'll talk about the cheese. Now, I use dairy-free cheese, but I suppose most of you aren't allergic to dairy and will use this less expensive cheese. According to this label, there are 8 servings per container and 1/3 cup per serving, which means that there are 8/3 of a cup or 2 2/3 cup in this container. According to my calculations, it's around 74 cents per cup for this cheese. I used just a pinch, which when I measured it was a little more than a tablespoon and less than 1/8 of a cup. So let's just say that we like it cheesy and we add 1/8 of a cup to each burrito. That will make it come to about 37 cents for this recipe. That's less than 10 cents per burrito. Now, just in case you're like me or you have someone in your family that's allergic to milk, I'm going to tell you what it costs for that. This is a little easier to calculate. There are 8 servings per container, and 1/4 cup is a serving, which means there's 8/4 of a cup or 2 cups in this bag. We're going to use 1/2 of a cup or 1/4 of the bag, which makes it about 99 cents or a little less than $1 to add dairy-free cheese to each one, or 1/4 each. Now, whenever I think that I want to go out and have a bean burrito, I think of the fact that these are bigger, they taste better, and they keep me fuller longer. So it's up to you. Are you going to make them at home or go out? If you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day.